This may be the most chaotic cross-pack compatibility video that I've ever had to record, because the whole time whilst I was playing Businesses and Hobbies Early Access, I was thinking, what is this going to work with? What isn't this going to work with? What activities are they actually going to ask? What are simmers' imaginations able to lead to when it comes to like running their own business, having classes and doing all sorts of things when you do actually have more than just this pack and the base game installed. So that is what we're going to be checking out today. How do the rest of the packs work with Businesses and Hobbies? I think I've built the ugliest lot possible to test this, but I didn't want to have like a fully functioning home that was like super overwhelming with then what, like 5 businesses on it. I'm not going to be going through and like making a detailed every single business request that people have asked me. Just because I figure if I show you the activities and also what is and isn't possible in some of these things, I've already spoken about some of the limitations and how I feel about this in other videos, then you can probably figure out what you can and can't do. But just to show you, I guess, the small business settings, there are actually new presets. There's the art center, for example, from City Living, bowling alley, obviously you have to have bowling stuff for that, karaoke bar, again, City Living, Makerspace Eco Lifestyle, Onsen Bathhouse is Snowy Escape. And then if we actually get into the business activities, I'm gonna go topic by topic and you can pause to read these. I'm obviously not gonna talk about every single one. I will be talking about the ones that I do feel were slightly a missed opportunity. I noticed that there was nothing to do with photography. So whilst I guess you could run kind of a photography gallery, you can't really run like a photography studio. I actually had a really cool idea because I quite enjoy playing with stylists. Stylist is a freelancer career, but there is also, if you have Get Famous, the kind of like hairdressing and makeup chair, which you can actually offer to like do someone's makeup, do their hair, and you can also offer like styling on it. And unfortunately, that isn't included in any of these categories, which I personally think is definitely a missed opportunity for like a styling like beautician company. You can obviously use tattooing and custom tattoos for beauty, so you can do like tattoo freckles, you can do laminating of eyebrows, which I think is quite nice. But this item right here is what I was talking about, and it pretty much works the same way as tattooing. So I don't know if maybe they just forgot that this was a thing, which is understandable. Like there's so many packs with so many different objects nowadays that I wouldn't be surprised if some of these were forgotten about. But the offer appearance styling, just to kind of show you how it works before we fully get into all the questions that you lot have asked, you can fully just like change the outfits of Sims. You can also add tattoos. So this fully works with kind of that beautician makeup kind of thing that I was talking about. Like you could give her a full face of custom makeup if you wanted to. Oh, I didn't like that noise. I didn't appreciate that. That sounded like one of the ghosts out of Phasmophobia. Unfortunately, she's not wearing the outfit that we just gave her, but she does actually have it in her wardrobe. And then being part of the stylist career, I can ask Vivian to like model her new look. Even though we can't use that chair, I am gonna open NORAD styling because I want Sims to try on outfits and maybe get tattooed. And I'm doing this because a lot of you asked in Get Famous, the reputation system that we actually have in your public image. So Nora has great reputation and is a rising star. Will that actually have an effect on how quickly your business will go up in its renown, or whether your alignment will be changed? So maybe if you have a more negative reputation in Get Famous, then you'll become more of a schemer, whereas if you have a good reputation, then you'll be more of a dreamer. I'm gonna probably hazard a guess and say that this isn't gonna have any cross pack. I don't think either one of these will affect the other, just because I personally felt like I really had to go out of my way to help with my alignment. Love how Hot Rod is just over here waiting for his photo. Whilst that's working away in the background, let's actually look at the newest expansion that we got, which was actually Life and Death. I was asked whether you could actually put your business into your will, and also whether there's any new bucket list things. So let's try and write the perfect goal. I fully forgot what getting busy was, and there is no new getting busy in this pack. Flip that, reverse it. Let's choose a new perfect goal. Let's do, I guess create would be more creative, so I guess if pottery is in there, but let's look for success. Nothing in success. Oof, nothing for pottery or tattooing. Oh, hey Leslie, I was just testing whether actually taking photos worked. It did, but you can't make money from that. So if you are gonna go for like a styling studio or something, I would probably set it to an hourly rate, as that's probably where you're gonna earn some money. I want to fight grim and eat 10 excellent dishes. So from what I can tell, going on the options that I figured would be potentially covered in this new pack, I can't see any new bucket lists. Some people asked if there were any new milestones, and I don't think that's something that you can check too easily unless maybe you have a cheat where you can apply milestones, but I don't know if that would be updated. There is one for registering a small business. Vivian registered a new small business named Viv's Catering, which is quite fun. I don't know if you maybe get one for selling, but I don't want to sell that just yet. There is also one for first simoleon. Nora earned her first simoleon at NORAD Styling, and obviously if you have Get to Work, I think there is actually a little like framed first simoleon that you maybe could pick up just to kind of show that. It's not actually something that you receive in this pack. I wonder if there's one for a tattoo. We also got one for our first tattoo as well, even though I don't think it turned out so great. Vivian has created her will, so where even is the will nowadays? Let's update that will. We currently do have a sim who actually doesn't own a business. I haven't tested this to see if it works, but I was told if there is a sim in your household who is eligible, which means they're a child or above and they don't already have a business, so they haven't registered one, then it will automatically pass down to one of those sims. I'm assuming if you have multiple, it'll just choose one at random potentially, or maybe the oldest. Whereas if you don't have anything that meets that criteria, obviously if you do still have a household but they all still have a business, I think they will receive the simoleons because it will be sold, but then it will just be kind of an empty small business slot on the map if it's its own little venue. Also, NPCs and townies can't automatically start running their own businesses. They can't buy a business that maybe is sold eventually from one of your sims. It will stay empty unless you as a player create someone to then register a business there and then buy that building and then also set up all of the settings to run said business. Heirlooms, simoleons, sim remains. So I don't actually think that you can leave your business to anyone, because I would definitely assume that that would be its own thing. Don't think you can write your businesses into your wills, which I kind of wish that that was there for realism. Let's round up the first day of business. We are gonna close, and the ambience is actually quite good. Customer relationship, not so much. We earned 75 simoleons in profit, obviously minus the 75 that it also took to open, and I would say that is probably going up at the usual rate. Our alignment hasn't really gone up at all. Still don't think that the celebrity level has anything to do with the business. God, they really need to let us like pin these and like change the order in which they show up. However, I am now wondering, did having that open actually get up her rising star a little bit? Potentially could have, because I know that people have been asking whether you can get famous off owning your own business. A lot of you were asking, I'm assuming because you wanted to make cinemas that your sims could own, if you could actually sell popcorn and also ice cream if you have cool kitchen stuff, aka my enemy. And the answer is yes. Like anything that you can actually place on to one of these shelves. This is bonus content shelf. However, this is the refrigerated shelf that actually is just shipped with the pack. And then you also have some like selling tables. These shelves are also selling stuff, and there's not a restock sign the way that there is in Get to Work, so you physically like have to make the stuff, which I did say in my other videos. It makes sense because they kind of want you to kind of focus on your Sims actually doing that stuff. We're actually gonna set whipped cream and then set garnish as sprinkle stick, just to show you her settings once again for her customers. Eat will consume food and grab snacks and servings from refrigerators, cauldrons, and popcorn poppers. Will make and grab popcorn. However, I have actually set this room over here to employee only, so they're not going to be able to make popcorn, but they can in fact eat it. Watch TV. I should also probably have buy goods. Then a couple of you curious folk were actually asking if you could place vendors, like the market stalls, for example, in a business venue. You can, but you still just have to. I hired myself. Wow, okay, cool. We spent 100 simoleons to do that. I do wonder if she's even gonna like turn up and actually like start attending this. Ooh, it said that we had hired Vivian, and yet Grandma Hattie was the one to actually pop in. She has opened it up and we can order some food, but I'm assuming that that food won't actually go to our business, which is what a few of you were curious about. Oh, everyone's taking a fecking plate of fruitcake. Plop that in your inventory. Oh, and she has now closed up and maybe vacated the premises. Cletus is having a little gander. We're actually going to put the gourmet fruitcake in our fridge. Thank you, welcome wagon. He did actually buy that popcorn. It was only 1 simoleon, but then he has gone to eat it and she's back. So I unfortunately don't think you can make like an indoor market or a Christmas markets type deal when it comes to businesses. I kind of do want someone to buy something off her, but I don't want to do it myself. For those of you who were wanting to make cinemas, you can't have watch movies as an activity. You can only have watch TV, but it will still play like on the big screen. And I actually think someone did happen to turn a movie on. I don't know what is about when my Sims want to go keep dancing, but they keep going off lot and are apparently dancing somewhere. And I'm on the lot over by the water. Someone bought the ice cream and they bought the whole tub. So I do think if you are selling ice cream, you're gonna have to continuously grab a bowl for as like many servings as you want. Also, just as a heads up, the food stall absolutely did not work. She arrived and then shut down a couple of times whilst I was watching, and I don't think, even if anyone was using this, which they didn't, I don't think it would go to your sim or like their money or their business. Right, who was it? Who broke our round vase? I was about to use that for science. This is a very, very small one, but I do think it's gonna bring some tranquility to this video. Someone asked if the flower arranging, like the bouquets that you can make in The Sims 4 Seasons, actually fit into the new vases. I'm gonna say no, considering they already have vases on them. However, maybe if we turn on like move objects and then we do just display it somewhere, then we could like get it to fit in and like look as if it belongs there. And I also want to see how seasons actually affect the hobby meetups. I'm assuming this means like, does thunderstorms like completely ruin the hobby meetups because it's all done outside? So of course I will definitely check that. It doesn't look like it would just drag in there naturally. Like they don't actually fit in together, and you can still kind of see the vase from Seasons. Don't think that is the worst. So technically I guess you can put the bouquets into the vases. You just have to have move objects wax on. But this is writers and readers. For the 5 seconds that it did actually storm, or I guess it was just rain, they did just happen to stay, but your Sims will obviously react in a way that is appropriate to the weather, although it only seems to be my Sim who's reacting to the weather. Is it just programmed to be sunny? Surely not, whilst there's a hobby meetup going on. Maybe thunderstorms just aren't actually programmed for this world, and that's why it was like auto-changing it. Honestly, not really affected all that much. Your Sim just becomes uncomfortably wet, and probably cold if it then starts to snow. I feel like this maybe got left over from another meetup, or maybe it's just there all the time, although I definitely did not notice this in early access, and my Sims definitely didn't want to dance as much as they are wanting to dance now. I turn away for 1 second and the pot is broken again. I can't even fix them up just yet. I need to check whether Pottery actually works on Plopsy and whether you can actually sell it over there. You can list the broken pot. I mean, that is modern art. So yes, you can list your pottery on Plopsy. You can ship them off if someone then buys it. Someone was also asking if you can use the dine out chef station in like a cafe, or I guess if you wanted to make a restaurant that actually wasn't really a restaurant. I think we might also try and get an employee for this just to see if they can use it. Oh my goodness, none of these are good at cooking, minus Nora. I guess we'll go for Cletus. This back room is set for employees, so he should be able to come and cook on here. Oh my god, we're running an Olive Garden. She said, give me those breadsticks. Oh, annoyingly, she's cooking over there. Not actually over in her business, but I guess that's also fine. It'll be interesting to see if customers actually buy stuff like off this. So technically it could feel like a restaurant. Obviously you're not going to have the same stuff that you do have in Dine Out. Like you're not going to have the food critics coming in. You're not really going to have like the full-on customer reviews that Dine Out has. But it does kind of give you a little bit more option for you to actually physically work in your restaurant if that's something you've kind of always wanted in Dine Out. You just can't really like seat people properly and stuff like that. And we made a cake and he put it weirdly. Okay, so they're not served up on here and he just put it on this table instead, but we can just put it in the fridges. It's kind of that thing of suspending your belief, I guess. I don't know why they're not serving it actually into the fridges. I kind of wish that they would do that so you didn't have to constantly click and drag stuff. But I guess if you don't have Dine Out and you kind of want a little bit more customizability without like the seating and kind of just having Sims standing around, I do feel like they would sit more, to be fair, if I didn't have the TV screen. And whose horse is that roaming around? Okay, you don't need to fart in my face to get my attention. Get Together is coming, okay? Because I know that it's always one of the packs that has the best when it comes to cross pack. Before we get into Get Together though, we are gonna check out the one and only Horse Ranch. The pack that honestly, whilst I was sorting through items to try and find stuff to take care of these animals, I literally entered it as a game pack, which is so bad. But here we have Pets and Pats. This is more our Rancher Sim. I also actually have some lot traits. Obviously, it does affect the whole lot, not just the kind of business outline, but I do have some traits. I have dog hangout and cat hangout. So there are actually a bunch of strays roaming around. Someone suggested potentially running an animal rescue center or a shelter where customers could come and take care of animals. So that's exactly what I have done. We have care for animals, will feed, clean, and care for cats, dogs, chicken, cows, llamas, horses, mini goats, mini sheep, and small pet habitats. Sorry, my first pet stuff. I did in fact forget about you. Horses will use big balls horse barrels, horse jumps, and then play with cats and dogs. We don't actually have any employees. However, the one and only Rochelle has created an absolutely impeccable looking petting zoo. So if that's something you've been wanting to know about, I'm actually gonna link Shella's VOD. She was streaming it over on Twitch in the description down below. I raided into it. It looked absolutely incredible and probably goes into a little bit more depth, obviously, than just this quick little overview of how caring for animals and kind of having a petting zoo works. I really wish they would all stop wanting to go and dance. But let's actually go give some friendly introductions to these dogs. It'll be interesting to see if she actually does some of the customer things that I want her to do. I haven't given employee tasks, and I probably should have done that. We're also going to say care for livestock, care for ranch animals, and play with pets. Also, still hire a ranch hand. Obviously, this is like a home business. This isn't a small business venue, which I did hear Shella say that's actually a little bit easier for a petting zoo type situation, because even though you have like look after animals and like take care of them, the customers don't really seem to like feed stuff, because obviously they've got other stuff going on. Like they've got a bunch of cute like cats and dogs roaming around. So a ranch hand to actually like keep on top of the animals might still be a good thing for you. Oh, and Jasmine there. Oh no, she's just sniffing it. I think this is because I have Buster Dust turned on, which is shocking. But she's stroking and patting the black mini goat. Absolutely loving it. Oh. Jasminda, you have made an enemy today. Oh, we should try and interact with our horse a little bit more. Sorry, buddy. I've just been so focused on all the other gameplay. You can't encourage customers to ride your horses, which I do really wish that that was a thing. I think that would be fun as a horse riding business. We can give lessons on it, I guess. We could teach classes if we were level 5 in horse riding, but I don't think you're actually able to mentor Sims when it comes to horse riding, because they'll physically like have to be on a horse for that, and you can't encourage customers to ride a horse. I did wonder maybe if you had both Sims in the active household, if you could potentially mentor a sim, but considering you can't actually talk to someone whilst you're mounted on a horse, and again, whilst they're mounted on a horse, I don't think mentoring is available for this. You aged up to be a fine little horse. The petting zoo animal shelter functionality is pretty good. I will say it does feel as if customers really are paying attention, although unfortunately some of our little animals are getting dirty, so they're not really caring for them in the sense of they're not like brushing them or anything. They just kind of seem to be playing with them and interacting with them. We're finally moving on to the occults. I do wish that occults kind of had their own section in the business activities. I just added in a spellcaster because I know people are probably also interested in that. There are some things that werewolves can do as well. Cast chaotic spells, helpful spells, just cast spells in general. Werewolves can use their werewolf abilities. Vampires can obviously use vampiric powers. Ghosts can use good ghost mastery or evil. Aliens can use alien powers. Ghosts can also possess objects. From vampires, you can play the pipe organ. From paranormal stuff, you can do seances. Unfortunately, tarot readings aren't in any of these business activities, which again, I personally feel it should be. I know a lot of people would want that for their more gothic and more occulty sims, but we are also going to choose to use cauldrons. Oh, you can do employee tasks of do tarot readings. You just can't have that from a customer perspective, so you can't ask for a tarot reading. Let's open up a Vampageddon. We do have some potions for sale and some plasma. Now, when it comes to classes, if he was high enough in the organ, he could hold a organ class. He unfortunately can't do the vampiric lore for a class, but he can do a vampiric lore lecture, which I find a little bit weird. I don't know what makes a class any different because the skill is still the same. Even though she's a pretty high up spellcaster, she can't teach any classes, but that's because spellcasters don't really gain skills. It's all done through their ranking. It's not like occults can teach other sims like how to do their spells or anything like that, and technically there is already mentoring in Realm of Magic. Like if a sim is a spellcaster, then they can mentor others in their magic. Ooh, I didn't even give her the tarot deck and she just went ahead and did that. That also may be a paid for thing. I got 22 simoleons. I don't know if that was maybe just off a sim like coming into the business. Nope. So if you have that as an employee task, they can get simoleons. One of our potions was sold for 5 simoleons. I don't know what the issue was with Get to Work, but you can sell them at least. Spellcasters do already have this with other spellcasters. They can offer magical training. I'm fairly sure this can't be monetized. There wasn't an option to do that. It also doesn't have like an object that you can mentor sims on. And real quickly, we're gonna hop into the world. This is kind of your business from other sims perspectives, and there were definitely a lot of different scenarios that I personally hadn't even thought of. So first of all, we're gonna see if clubs can actually set a business as their hangout. Please do not crash right now, or else I am about to crash out. Const Modern, New Harbour Park, and the Rouge No. So New Harbour Park is actually a small business venue, but it's a small business venue that isn't owned by anyone. I wonder if this was maybe owned by someone, if we could still hang out there, or if that would get rid of it, because we can't set coffee booths. But that's also like residential instead of just being solely a business. So I guess we'll test that in a second. But then real quickly, let's also get rid of do homework for right now. Let's see if there's any new activities. Baking treats is something that came with the Kate and Berry candy maker. Do pottery is another new club activity. And then also practice tattooing. We'll have Crispin register a small business. I do want to buy a small business venue lot. I hate how you have to go through so many loading screens to get this done. This is why sometimes I wish to have an NPC or just have a townie own it instead of you going through all of this like every single time, because I do think it's quite time consuming. Some players might not be fussed by this at all. Honestly, would probably rather be able to make those decisions in their game, but I think it would be nice to have the option to just have someone run this. Let's head back to Windenburg and Micah and see if we can still hang out there if it is a separate small business lot. Ooh, doing videos like these really show how laggy my game is. So we can choose New Harbour Park. So I think you can only just not host things at the businesses that are also on someone's residential. It probably has to do with the fact that like in the UI, you kind of have to choose where you're going to visit. And that definitely would get confusing with clubs. Oh, yep. Other customers do still in fact arrive, even though it looks like this. Caleb Vitor, you have taste, my friend. Now I've heard through the grapevine that you can't actually go on the gold dates that came with Lovestruck to a business. Ask on date, or is it create a date? I can't remember. That shows how much Lovestruck did not stick in my head. Oh, there we go. Let's do romantic date. Now this is set to a gold and rewards thing. I just want to see if that's possible. If it's not, I'll take off the gold rewards. Pottery isn't like on there or anything, or like be creative. I still think this is so lacking when it comes to activities that they could have added. Nordhaven, ooh, we currently only have the lounge, which just seems like it's completely struck off all the businesses, even if it's one that's not actually on a residential. But let's get rid of that goals and rewards, which I mean kind of removes the fun of these dates, I feel. But again, you still can't even go. You can only go to the lounge, which is just a regular lounge. It's not set up as a small business venue at all. What about just a regular date and not a Lovestruck awestruck date, or any social event for that matter. Because I do think that small businesses could honestly be really fun for like little kids parties. Nope, you can't even go on a regular date. This lot is not available. Oof, people definitely aren't gonna like that one. I don't like that one. I feel like that really does have an effect. I guess you could still do that event, like you could still have a birthday, you could just bring a cake and age a sim up, but not having the event to go along with it is a little sad. No. Unfortunately, does not look like you can host any social events, gold or not gold, at any of the businesses that you actually set up in your game. Yeah, you can still just use your imagination, and there are definitely loopholes to get around it. Like I said, for a birthday party, you can just like take cake with you. Considering we're in San Myshuno right now, I know so many people have wanted to know if you can start a small business in a typical like city living apartment. And currently it is coming up with, is that 9 land grab? I don't know. Small business residential. So it definitely feels as if you can just run a small business on this lot right here. We don't have a ticketing system, but that's fine because it's disabled. So you technically don't need a ticketing system. And Clay has actually made his way up. He is listening to the lecture. So you can have a little small business in the apartments, the city living and the eco lifestyle apartments. I state only eco lifestyle and city living because you can't run a small business on the for rent residential rentals. You can, however, live in a residential rental and then you can purchase another small business venue that obviously you're not living in, and you can run that as your business. You can also start a business even if you're a landlord. So for example, she's the property owner. She obviously has this residential rental, but you can have a small business. This is because they're technically already their own type of lot. And even if you start a business on your residential, it then becomes a small business residential, but this is already a residential rental, which means that you can't run a business here. It's the same for haunted house residentials and tiny homes. You can't run a business out of either of those places. You just have to have a completely separate, different lot, which also means that you can't live above a restaurant because you can't have a typical dine out restaurant be a small business residential. If you want to live above a restaurant, you just have to do it kind of the same way that Simmers have always done it, by just kind of living there and then having a second lot that you probably never really visit. Really quickly, I wanted to see if you could actually register a front beach lot as a small business, because a lot of the time these lots have weird restrictions on them. I'm fairly sure you can't use them for residential rentals, but you can use them for small businesses. Oh my goodness, not you being able to basically just own a like private beach for rich Sims. Judith Ward, I'm looking at you, baby. And there we have it. This video took an age to record, I'm not gonna lie. So hopefully it covered like a lot of the things that you were curious about. Hopefully I am correct about these things. If I am missing any information or you feel I said something incorrectly, please do not hesitate to let me know down in the comments. I never want to be the one who's giving misinformation, but I do try my best to go as detailed as possible. It's just sometimes, especially with a pack like this, and there's like so many different options and like so many different ideas in the community, it is kind of hard to test them all, especially because this was quite surface level. Like I was just kind of hopping into things, not really like putting hours into things. On that note though, it will be interesting to see if your fame is brought up by owning a business. That's the only one where I'm not super confident in saying yes or no about it. If you did get your hands on Businesses and Hobbies, I would absolutely love to hear what you building first. What businesses are you interested in opening? Is there anything that you wish we could do that we currently can't do? I feel like the no photography and also no like styling is definitely where it's lacking for me personally right now, but I appreciate you all so much, and I will speak to you all in my next one. Bye now.